Hey friends, welcome to another episode of Souls on Fire. I'm your host Brittany, and I'm really excited you're here with us today. If you've been following along from the beginning, welcome back, and if you're new here, I'm sending you the biggest welcome hug. If you're ready to live a life full of purpose and passion, you're definitely in the right place. Here at Souls on Fire, we talk about overcoming the darkness in your past and present experiences and how we got out of them and how we are now living a passionate and purposeful life. We all have dreams and desires inside of us for a reason. So before we get started today, I just want to ask you one quick question. Are you just getting by in life, or are you actually living with your soul on fire? All right, friends, welcome back to another episode of Souls on Fire. Again, I'm your host, Brittany, and I'm really happy you're here. We got a great episode coming up today, guys. If y'all need some motivation, and if you guys are just feeling maybe that's a little lost in life, or if you just need a confidence booster, you guys are definitely in the right place. So today, we really just want to talk with a person, someone who lost confidence in themselves, because I feel like confidence is something huge with finding your soul on fire, because we go through these moments and we're like, oh my gosh, I'm not equipped to do this. I don't have the confidence to do this. Nobody likes me. Maybe nobody likes what I'm saying. And I have the perfect guest on here with me today. She is a mindset coach. She is honestly the queen of workshops, and she's really the confidence queen, which is why I brought her on for this exact episode. She focuses a lot on clarity. She's a dog lover. She loves the outdoors, and something that specifically is what makes her a queen is she really knows how to quit when she gets tired, and I really feel like this is something that we can all learn from. So without further ado, guys, I would like to introduce to you, I might chop this up, Danielle, and I am so sorry, and she'll correct me, but we have Danielle ALESIO on today. You got it! And, so good.
You got it. You said it perfectly. Well, I am so happy to be on. Thank you so much for inviting me and for that beautiful introduction.
Of course. I would love for you to tell the audience just who you are, what you do, just a little tidbit about you before we get into today's content so they can get a feel for you.
Yes, of course. Well, I'm Danielle, and I am a mindset coach as well as a yoga teacher, and I help women, especially women entrepreneurs who are pursuing their passions and their purpose, step into their confidence and reduce that stress and that self-doubt and that imposter syndrome that holds them back, and really go for it and make their dreams a reality.
Absolutely. I love that. I got the opportunity to connect with Danielle on Instagram, and we've really been friends ever since we've connected. She has such an amazing profile. She posts a lot about her dogs and just so many funny stories about her dogs, which is why I think we really connect, because she has the funniest dogs, you guys. So something you said in your intro was imposter syndrome, and I would like for you to just go into a little detail about what that is, because, when I first started following you and when I first met you, I'm going to be really honest with you guys, I didn't know what that was, Danielle, and maybe somebody who's listening today doesn't know what that is. Would you be able to dig a little deeper into maybe what that is for us?
Of course. So imposter syndrome was a new word for me, too. I learned it a while back when I was actually in engineering, but it has carried with me, especially it showed up a lot when I went to follow my dreams. And imposter syndrome is this feeling like of being a fraud, like we're going to get found out, that we really aren't as good as people might think we are. Like if we got hired by mistake, or if we're posting on social media and we're talking about our passion, our purpose, we're like, oh my God, what if this person actually talks to, reaches out to me? What if I'm really not that great? And that whole imposter syndrome can really, really shut us down.
Yes, definitely. And I think that's something that I struggle in, not with only Souls on Fire, but within my personal life as well. So I know that you said you were talking about your mindset coach. When you first started coaching other women, did you have any challenges with this, or how did you overcome it? Or did you yourself have imposter syndrome?
Yes, I did. I did have imposter syndrome, especially when first getting out there to be a coach. And it was like, I decided I wanted to be a coach. And the coaches that I had, she's like, great, you can do it. Why don't you start getting on calls with people? And I'm like, oh my goodness, no, I can't do that. Like, I don't know what to say. I'm not that great. And then went through some training, and even after that training, when I knew what I was going to do, when I knew how to get on calls, I was still, like, really nervous about it because I just felt like there were so many other coaches out there. Like, why would somebody hire me over everyone else out there who has all the other experience? So I did struggle with that imposter syndrome and feeling, like, not that confident in myself. And it felt difficult to put myself out there, to even call myself a coach, because I was afraid people would be like, no, you're not. You're such a fraud. You can't coach. But no one actually ever said that to me, which is fantastic. And I finally started putting myself out there and got on some calls and really built my confidence by getting the courage to do what I was really scared of, which was getting on calls with people. And practicing that over and over again, that consistency, and that really helps build my confidence in myself, in my dreams, and knowing that I am an amazing coach and really, really can help people.
Right. I 100% agree with that, because I think fraud is definitely the biggest thing that we, especially as women, can struggle with. We really feel like we're not good enough, and we feel like, no one's going to like us, or if we do this thing, we're going to get judged for it. Did you ever feel like you were going to get judged for maybe being a coach, or what did you do before you were a coach, or how did you really get into the coaching and really focusing on confidence that you do?
Yes, so how I got into coaching was I'm going to make this long story very short. I was an engineer who was unfulfilled and unhappy there. I dove into yoga, and it helped me so much, and I just knew I wanted to help more people. And so I took what was in front of me, which is yoga teacher training, and I evolved from that into a health and wellness company and into another company, and then I basically decided, I hired my first coach, and I knew that's when I knew I wanted to be a coach, because yoga, I got to teach amazing classes, but I really wanted to help people on that more personal level. And that is when I was like, you know what, I want to be a coach and really help people transform deep inside. And then you asked if I ever felt judgment for being a coach. Yes, of course, especially when leaving my engineering job and becoming a yoga teacher and a coach. I was afraid of what will people think? What will people think of me? And then when I finally started putting myself out there as a coach, I was afraid people were going to judge me as not knowing anything or not a good coach, even though they had no proof of anything. I was afraid of being judged in that sort of sense. Like, who do you think you are to be a coach? Like, who do you think you are to do all of these things and share all of these things? And afraid of being judged on what I say. Like, oh, does this sound stupid? Is this going to be enough? Are people going to say this about me? And that fear of judgment is one of the biggest fears, which I feel keeps a lot of people from really showing up in their greatest potential.
Yeah, most definitely. And I know, like I said in the beginning, you are definitely the queen of workshops. And I would love for you to just go through and just tell us a little bit about your workshops and just what you focus on in your workshops and how you really coach people and speak with people about this confidence issue, about the imposter syndrome, about the fear of judgment. Like, how can we really get over this as individuals? If we want to firmly step into our purpose and step into our passion and really live with our life with our soul on fire and really feel like we're living to our true mission, like how do you do that?
So with my workshops, I really hone in on reducing stress, and getting clear on what you really want to do, clarity on what you want to bring to the world, what your purpose is, what your passion is, and getting over that fear of judgment and just stepping into your confidence is definitely something that we focus on there. And getting over the fear of judgment has so much to do with that deep inner work on yourself. Being confident, and that's why clarity is so key, because you have to find something that you really stand for, that you truly believe in. And even putting that out there can feel scary, but the biggest thing is, with overcoming that fear of judgment, is to realize that when we are so worried about what other people think, but I hate to break it, they really are thinking about us that much. And the people that are going to sit there and judge us are probably the ones who are holding back in their own life on their dreams. And so when they see somebody else out there putting themselves out there, they can feel that need to want to judge or to bring them down back to their level, because either they're not pursuing their dreams or they are just a really mean person. But most likely they're not pursuing their own dreams, and so they try to bring somebody down. And there was this quote I saw once, and it was, "Don't take criticism from somebody you wouldn't take advice from." And that person that's bringing you down probably isn't in the spot where you want to actually be. Because the people who are living that dream, who are living that life that you desire to live, they're going to try to bring you up rather than put you down. And so to really get over that judgment is to start to realize that, start to keep your eyes in your own lane, that focus on the transformation, because guess what? Other people's opinions aren't going to pay your bills. They're not going to get you to your dreams. And then it's that getting that courage, again, having courage to consistently show up, in which will produce that confidence, which will help overcome that fear of judgment.
Absolutely. You are definitely speaking to me on this, because I personally have had to overcome this, especially with starting Souls on Fire, and really, I've talked a lot about in my past episodes is being in these prisons, and definitely one of the prisons was just judging myself constantly and just constantly comparing myself. Danielle, do you ever feel like you were just in a comparison mode? And if you are, how do you get out of that? And what do you do? What are the steps for that?
Yes. Well, social media makes it super easy to compare yourself to everybody. Like, oh, they got this many likes, and I got this many. They got this much engagement. Oh, it looks like they're doing really well. And again, it comes back to staying in your own lane and realizing that other people's lives and how they're doing in their business is really also none of your business as well. People can put on social media what they want other people to see, and you never know all the stuff that they went through to start to get those clients or to get those high numbers. And you comparing yourself to them, like them being very successful in what they are doing, is not taking away at all from your success until you start comparing yourself to them and getting in your head. And so I know comparison can be so big, especially with social media. And for some things, honestly, just if you find yourself constantly comparing yourself with somebody, if you can't start to see their stuff as more of inspiration, and just every time you see it, you start to get down on yourself, mute them, unfollow them. Like, there is zero shame in doing that, because you have to protect your own energy. And sometimes it takes that muting or that unfollowing in order to really focus on yourself and your craft and bring that focus back to you, like laser focus on you, on what you're doing rather than what everyone else is doing. And then if you want to follow them later in the future, you can add them back in once you feel that you have that confidence within yourself.
Yes, and I wrote so many things down when you were speaking, because this is just really speaking to me, girl. It's so good, and I know that who's listening today needs to hear this, because it's so common in the world we live in, and especially during COVID-19, because a lot of people have lost some things, and a lot of people still have gained some things. But if you've lost something, and then if someone beside you has gained something, you're just like, oh my goodness, like, what is wrong with me? And I just want to tell you, friends, that you are unique, and if you were still alive and if you were still breathing, you have a purpose, and you are here for a reason, and God is going to use you. And I want to talk about high standards for a minute, because you were talking about quotes, and it really put something into my mind. And there's a quote that I saw on Instagram, and it really just spoke to me. And maybe you can say something about this, Danielle, because I feel like you commented on it, and it said something along the lines of, don't lower your standards for anyone, or I don't lower my standards for anyone because I don't like low-quality experiences. And that really spoke to friends, and I feel like somebody needs to hear that today. Like, don't lower your standards. Well, like, they are your standards,
Exactly. Like, they are your standards, and it's so important to keep those standards rather than lowering them, because it's such a sign of respecting ourselves. And when we respect ourselves, people can see that and respects us, but it also gives them that permission to